is a video showing the installation of a CryptoPay ACW retrofit kit. And what we're going to talk about first is the components that are in the kit. The first component is the ACW Lexan. This particular piece of Lexan shows one slot for quarters. The other piece of Lexan we offer is what we call our 2-slot Lexan that has tokens and quarters. Okay, so that's the first component. You'll put this on the face of your ACW. Now the second component is the CryptoPay coordinator. Some of you may already have a CryptoPay coordinator because you have CryptoPay installed on bays and VACs. If you already have it, it'll work with this kit. And if you don't have the coordinator, then we'll supply it with this kit. The second component is the CryptoPay swiper. I'm going to zoom in on that a little bit. And that'll get mounted on the Lexan, and Tom will point to that area. There's already pre-drilled holes for that. The next component is the AC, what we call wall wart. And what you have here is a plug that plugs in the wall that supplies the right power for the CryptoPay swiper. If I can make one key point here, it is imperative that you use this. Supplying power to the swiper is critical, and this supplies the right power to the swiper. So you will need an AC outlet to plug this in inside the ACW controller. The next component is the ACW display. This comes with the kit. I'm going to zoom in on that. This is a nice red scrolling display, and you can see at the bottom of the display we have a wireless module, and that's how the display wirelessly talks to the CryptoPay swiper. Finally, you have some miscellaneous crimps and some screws and spacers that allow you to mount the controller, that allow you to mount the display to the Hamilton controller. Okay, so that's phase one. That's your kit. Next, we're going to talk about modifying the Hamilton ACW controller. Okay, step 2 is modifying the ACW controller. Now, go ahead and power down your ACW auto cashier and remove the ACW controller as we've done here, and bring it into a bench work surface like we've done here. It's the easiest way to do this modification. The first step is to remove the vacuum fluorescent display, and Tom is going to show you that here. We've removed the hardware, and now Tom's going to go ahead and remove it. The goal is that you're going to be putting in the CryptoPay new red scrolling display. So there's the vacuum fluorescent display removed. All Tom had to do was remove the hardware and unplug the connector. Okay, now the next step is we're going to remove the stainless steel cover. Tom's already removed the hardware. Be careful when you pull this out that you don't nick the ribbon connector for the switches on the side of the controller. Now you can see the circuit board. So we've removed the screws already as well. And now Tom's going to pull out the circuit board. And the goal here, folks, is that we're going to remove a component from the controller, and we're going to add a jumper wire. So in summary, that is all we're doing. Okay, so we've got the circuit board removed, and Tom is flipping around to the component side. And what Tom is pointing to is the component that's been removed, which is Q10. Just take a pair of cutters and remove the component from the circuit board. Just clip it right out. And then you're going to solder a jumper wire, and you can see our jumper wire is red. You're going to solder it from the middle pin of Q10 to the top of R 37. If that's something you're not comfortable with, take it to a local hobby shop and have them solder in this wire. Okay, that's the modification to the Hamilton controller. Reassemble it carefully, plug back in the edge connectors, and power it up. The next step is moving on to installing the rest of the CryptoPay kit. Okay, the ACW controller has been modified. You've removed Q10 and you've added the jumper wire in the previous step. And now you can see that we've installed the red scrolling display with the wireless module on it. The only thing you have to do now is you have to install the red Lexan filter. And you can see the filter here has also been provided in your kit. And in general, you're going to use the white standoffs that Tom is showing here. And you're going to install the red filter on top of the display. You can see that it goes over top of the wireless module. And that will complete this part of the installation. Okay, the ACW controller has been modified. The red scrolling display is installed with the red filter. And for the purposes of our video training, we're using a ACW harness back on our table. And of course, you're going to go ahead and plug this in back in your controller. So you're going to plug in both of the edge connectors, the one on the top that Tom's pointing on. And you're going to plug in the bottom edge connector. This is done inside your controller. And now you're going to apply power back to your ACW controller. And I want to highlight the fact that the controller is now saying PROG question mark. What that's telling you is it needs programmed. The good news is you've done your modification correctly because the display is working. And now let's move into the programming phase of the ACW controller. Okay, in the previous step, we installed the red scrolling display. And now we're going to go ahead and plug your controller back into the ACW by plugging it into two black edge connectors and applying power to it. As you saw in the last step when you programmed it, when you powered it up, the word PROG was on the display. It needs programmed. So let's do that. The first step is to press the yellow button. And now the display is no longer saying PROG. It's showing inventory deposit. We're going to press the red button. And we're in the first menu item, which is inventory vending. We're going to advance it by pressing the red button until we end up at the menu item that says item prices. We simply need 4 unique prices. Press the yellow button. Item number 1, we've programmed at $9. Press the yellow button again. Item number 2 is $8. Item number 3, we made $7. And item number 4 is $6. So we have 4 unique prices. Next, we're going to do 4 unique item names. We're going to press the white button. And we're in the next menu item, which is item prices. I'm going to press the red button. And we have item names. Press the yellow button and we're on the first name. And we've made it double wash and wax. Press the yellow button. Item number 2 name is double wash and rinse. Item 3 is wash and wax. And finally, item number 4 is wash and rinse. So in summary, we have programmed in 4 unique item prices and 4 unique item names. Now we're going to press the red button and we're going to program in the welcome prompt. press the yellow button. The welcome message needs to be the welcome as you see on the screen here. So the welcome prompt needs to be the first menu item, which is welcome. Press the white button, and we're back to the welcome prompts. Now, for other controllers out there, older controllers, there's one additional step, and that is you may have a proceed prompt. If your controller has a proceed prompt, this one does not, you'll need to pick the first menu message number 1, which is simply thank you. So for older controllers that have a proceed prompt, ensure that you pick the first message, which is thank you. Okay, to return, press the return button. This controller is now programmed. The next step will be installing the swiper, applying power to the swiper, and then finally testing the whole system. Okay, in the previous step, we programmed the controller. In this step, we're going to mount and wire the CryptoPay swiper. So if you haven't already put the Lexan on the front of the auto cashier, do that now. Tom is showing the Lexan here. And then mount the CryptoPay swiper to the Lexan in the pre-drilled holes. Those 3 holes obviously will have to be drilled into your stainless as well. And the larger hole is for the 3 wires to come through. So put the Lexan on, mount the swiper. And of course do all this with the power off on the ACW. Okay, so the next part is to apply power to the CryptoPay swiper using the harness we provided. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in here on this harness that Tom is showing. One side of this harness connects and plugs into the wall. You can see that there. So you'll need an outlet inside your auto cashier. And the other part of the harness is going to supply power to the CryptoPay swiper. There are 2 wires on the harness already marked 24 volt hot and 24 volt common. The yellow wire from the CryptoPay swiper goes to the 24 volt hot. Use the crimp we've provided and attach it to that wire. And the black wire on the CryptoPay swiper that Tom is grabbing here is going to connect to the other connector that's on that harness that says common. That provides you with 24 volts AC to the swiper. We have 2 more wires that have to hook up, and they're going to hook up on the edge connector that's on the controller. So remove the edge connector from the side of the controller. This is the edge connector opposite the buttons we use in the programming stage. Remove that connector and get to where you can see the different wires. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in here for you on the connector. Okay, so what we're going to do is we've provided in the kit a special crimp that allows you to simply put it over top of the wire, as Tom is doing here, and then when you close it on the wire, it makes a connection on the wire. And so that's what we've done. Now the wire color that Tom has connected this to is the brown wire in the edge connector. And we have a brown wire on that harness we showed you earlier. Simply plug it in to the connector you've just put on the brown wire, as Tom has done here. That's a common connection for the CryptoPay swiper to have common wiring to the edge connector. Now the last wire we have to connect is over here on the CryptoPay swiper. It is this blue wire, and that's the signal output from the CryptoPay swiper to the Hamilton controller. Again, we have that fancy connector Tom is putting over the wire. When you push it, it contacts the wire. It's a nice way to splice into a wire without cutting it. You can see what he's done here. And he's putting that on the pink wire on the edge connector.
Okay.
Now we provided a crimp in our kit as well that you'll crimp onto the end of the blue wire. simply plug it in to that special crimp that's crimped onto that pink wire. Okay. So in summary, this step was about mounting the CryptoPay swiper and putting the Lexan on. I just want to provide a summary here. The CryptoPay swiper runs off of 24 volts AC. AC is provided from the transformer that plugs into an outlet. That transformer steps the voltage down to 24 volts AC. You connect the CryptoPay yellow and black wire to the connectors we provided. They're marked hot and common. And then you run the brown wire from that harness to the brown wire in the edge connector. And the blue CryptoPay swiper wire goes to the pink wire on the edge connector. This has provided power to the swiper and a signal output to the Hamilton controller. In our next step, we'll get this all fired up and do our final testing. Okay, in our previous step, we mounted the Lexan, mounted the swiper, and wired the swiper. And we're back here at the bench using our test harness for this video training session. And so you've done well, you're just about done. I want to point out just a couple of things here, kind of a summary. And this step is going to do the final testing, including verifying the prices you programmed in. I'm going to go ahead and scroll over here, excuse me, to the coordinator. One thing I want to point out is that this coordinator is probably going to be located in the pump room, in the equipment room. And when you plug it into the internet, you'll notice a green LED flashing. Tom will point that out. That's the run LED. That means you have a valid internet connection. And so this is usually not located by the device. It can't be put into any metal enclosure. And it wirelessly transmits to the CryptoPay swipers. In this case, the swiper that's on the front of the auto cashier. Now, a verification that you wired the swiper correctly as far as power goes is the swiper is now running its sporty LED light bar, and that's a multicolor light bar. That means you've wired it correctly and it has power. Now the next thing we'd like to do, now that the installation is done, we're in testing mode, is we're going to verify the prices. So Tom is going to press each button, and you'll notice the display shows that $9 price for the first button. And it also says the name, double wash and wax. Pressing the next button on the front of your auto cashier shows the $8 wash, and again, verify your name. The $7 wash. Wash and wax on the nice new display. And $6 and wash and rinse on the display. Okay, now we're back to the standard greeting on the display, and by the way, that's the one you picked. And right now the display says welcome, select item, please. Tom is selecting the item. He's going to swipe the credit card in the CryptoPay swiper. Notice the CryptoPay swiper went blue and the display says verifying card. Sale approved has now been displayed, and the swiper has now vended its pulses, and the wash is running. Now let's take a look at the display now. It says welcome, select item. So it is ready to go ahead and select another item now. So we'll run the cycle one more time. Swipe card, LED light bar goes blue. Verifying card message is displayed. Sale approved. Purchase is complete. Okay, now the message says car wash is in use. That's because there's a car in the tunnel being washed and another car waiting. So all the queuing messages work the way they should with the CryptoPay credit card system as well. Now we have a little switch on our display here, which Tom's going to go ahead and flip. That simulates the car leaving the wash, and that's why the display says thank you. Please drive ahead. Thank you. Please drive ahead. So now you see the CryptoPay swiper went back to its multicolor waterfall, and the next wash is ready. Okay, that's the installation for the ACW 4 and 5. If you follow these instructions, you'll do well. Thanks so much.